Welcome back to the Soul-u-tions podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about money and how fun it is to make money and how much freedom it gives you when you understand that you are in control of the money that comes to you. So, my name is Tara Simkins, and you are listening to the Soul-u-tions podcast. I'll see you on the other side of the intro. Einstein said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." Most everyone in the world is solving their problems the wrong way. Our problems come from our thinking, and we can solve them with our thinking. So, whether you're at your lowest, just trying to grow, or whether you are trying to sustain growth over your lifetime, join us as we push the boundaries of our current thinking and redefine how we find Soul-u-tions.
The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family. Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibilities.
Okay. I love talking about money. And this is so much fun because I actually am a certified money coach. I've been certified in money coaching for, oh my gosh, like almost 10 years now. And the thing about it is when I heard about money coaching, I was like, what the heck is that about? I don't have any problems with money. And then I started thinking about my thinking about money and all the things that I thought about it, which were things like it's hard, you need to earn it, other people are in control of giving it to you, people want to take it away from you. Oh, I love this one. Money doesn't grow on trees. Well, what if it kind of does grow on trees? Seriously, what if it kind of does? I had an experience just recently. Let me set the scene for you without giving you too much background story, but just the right amount of background story. It's February, and all of a sudden there are some bills coming up. There's the inevitable tax bill that comes every April. You've got some repair work that you're doing at your home that needs to be completed. Got kids, they want to go to Europe for spring break. And you have an anniversary and you'd like to go to Europe for spring break as well with your partner. All right. Now, that's a lot of money. And you start to think about feeling the pressure of the bills mounting up. Like if you were to do all of that, how much would that cost? So I want to share with you how I navigated this just this year. So I started thinking, okay, this is probably going to cost, I'm just going to throw out a round figure. I need about an extra $100,000 to $150,000 if all of this is going to come true this year in the next few months. I'm like, okay, how am I going to get that money? Right? Like I want you to hear that question. I'm like, what would I do to create $150,000 in the next 6 weeks? And when I ask that question, I get pretty doggone excited about figuring out a way. You may be absolutely paralyzed by that question. You might go, oh, like, there's no way I get paid every 2 weeks. I get blah, 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 blah. I've got this and this and this. There's just no way. I just couldn't do it. Okay. If that is you, I just want you to hit the pause button. And when I say hit the pause button, I mean, place your hand over your heart. This is the pause button for your fear brain. This truly is a real pause button. where you put your hand over your heart, take a couple of deep breaths, just kind of just feel the sensation of your hand touching your chest, the sensation of your chest rising and lowering. And with each rising and lowering of your chest, each breath, feel yourself coming back to you, coming back to your groundedness, centeredness, this soul centeredness of just where everything is okay. And then I want you to, from that place, from the very, very, very safe place, begin to think of the possibility of creating money like that for yourself. Like if the money could come to you in any way. Well, for me, it's a bit like getting my juices going. So if you live in Augusta, Georgia, and you're listening to this podcast, there's a great way to make money in Augusta. And it is called renting your home out for the Masters golf tournament. There are so many patrons that come to our fair city who have tickets to the Masters and who need a place to stay. And there's not enough hotel rooms to accommodate all the people. And so people rent their homes out. And this is what I think is so amazing. People talk about this. There's a provision in the tax code that allows you to rent out your home, your primary residence, for 2 weeks or less a year, and to not have to pay taxes on the income that you get for renting your home out. I mean, like, it's really remarkable. People do call it like the master's clause in the tax code. If you travel around, I'm sure you've heard other people. And if you live in Augusta, you know about it. And if you've ever attended the Masters, you know that people rent out their homes. So kind of to get my juices going on how to make money, I'm like, oh yeah, it's February. I could rent my house out for the Masters. And you start calling around. You're like, what would someone with 4-bedroom, 4-bath house get in this neighborhood? And you're like, oh yeah, okay. That's a little chunk. So I've got my little list of my wish list of 100,000 to 150,000 on my piece of paper. I've written that down, right? Then I'm like, okay, let's just say, I'm just going to throw this out there. I could get $30,000 for my house. That feels really, really good. Okay, what would I have to do to get that $30,000 for my house? I'm like, okay, I need to talk to someone who actually lists houses. Well, cool thing, got a great client, Tate Sasnett. She's a Soul-u-tions Labs member. She has an amazing business called Patron Properties, and they find housing for people for the Masters. So I'm like, oh, I know somebody. I'm going to give her a call. Would you put me on your list? And then I'm like, okay, in my neighborhood. Then so I get that Tate working on that. And they're like, in my neighborhood, who does this? I'm like, oh yeah, I have a neighbor that has a major has a contract with a major company that brings people in for the golf tournament. And she's kind of the go-to connection for the neighborhood. So I reach out to her. And then I've rented my home before. It's been years, but I rented my home. So I called my connection there. So I'm like, okay, now you see how easy it becomes to create money. Just create money. I'm still working as a life coach, right? I'm still seeing my clients. I'm still seeing, doing my marketing. I'm still calling people in. But I'm like, oh yeah, this would be something extra. So I get a contract in, and then I've found some other sources. Like truly, I've had to do this before. you can have great life insurance policies that my husband and I started investing in when I was right out of law school, and have these amazing policies that we've been paying on all these years, and they have a cash value, and you can borrow from that. And I'm like, if I needed to, borrow money for some home improvements. Now, listen, there are a lot of you that would never, ever, ever consider borrowing money. I get it. You don't want the pressure. But remember, the hypothesis is, how could I create $100,000 to $150,000 in 6 weeks? What is money that I have access to with ease? And I personally don't have a problem with debt. I think debt is neutral. If I put that in the self-coaching model, debt is a circumstance. How I think about debt creates my feelings about it. If I think debt is neutral, that it's a vehicle, then I don't feel bad about it. And I think we've gotten a little moralistic about debt in our country. I'm not going to go off on a tangent about that. But having practiced law for 20 years and representing major corporations, debt is a tool that businesses use to gain infrastructure, to come up with cash so that they can invest in and expand other things. So I come to money as a vehicle and financing as a vehicle. And so, these are all things that I can put down on my piece of paper of ways that I have access to money that I can create, like cash, at a certain time. And then, because I am an entrepreneur, and I really want you to hear this, because this is going to take me off into a little parenting tangent that I think most parents are doing a huge disservice to your children today by just thinking you go to college, and that because you go to college, you'll get a good job. Or, golly, I even hear people say, well, gosh, you can't even get a good job out of college. You got to go to graduate school to get a good job. But you're not talking to your children about money. You're not talking to your children about, hey, what type of lifestyle do you want to have? How much is that lifestyle going to cost you? How are you going to pay for that lifestyle? Like, if you're just thinking, yeah, you just go get a quote unquote secure job working for someone, you are giving up the agency that you have to create money on demand when you need it. And you are instead only have access to what you get every month or every 2 weeks. So truly, I think this is going to be a future podcast episode on parenting and how you teach your kids to think about money right now, and making money. Like, truly teaching your kids that money, what if money does grow on trees and you plant the money tree in your backyard? What would it look like? Of course, that's a metaphor, people, but it isn't just like wishful thinking. It's like, what would you have to do to make that money tree? I think being an entrepreneur is having a money tree in your backyard. So in that regard, I was like, let me look at the client load that I'm having right now. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a launch coming up. Okay. How many people do I want to reach to be into this launch? How many clients am I servicing right now? Oh yeah, I should make some more offers to help people in their lives. Like, let me just get out there and talk about what I do and make some specific offers to people and open myself up for new clients. And here's the thing about money. Money really is based on this energetic opening and sense of attraction. By just starting this conversation and getting it out of my head, taking a pen and a piece of paper and starting to like brainstorm all of these ways, and not just brainstorm or wishful thinking, actually taking the action that is necessary to bring the money in, like with the masters renting my home out for the master's example, right? Calling someone, not just relying on one person, calling 3 people instead of one person. And when that's working, then going to another way I could create money, right? Oh, yeah, maybe I could take a loan out on this life insurance policy. Oh, and then I'm going to go to another area that I could make money. Oh, yeah, I could make more offers to people. Do you see that amount of action that I am taking that I feel empowered to take when I get excited about making money and when I believe that I have the power to create money? Do you see that? Like, I haven't stopped finding an idea yet. I have multiple plays that have put in it. And you know what? Know about myself. I am going to work until I hit that goal. I just am. I'm just going to hit that goal because that's the kind of person I am. And that's what I love, helping my clients become the kind of person who could have this type of empowered feeling with money about understanding that it's fun, it's easy to make. It's easy to make when you put yourself in the position to be able to make it, right? It's easy to think about it in a fun way. It's hard work. It takes a lot of consistency. And I want you to understand the things that I put in play here that allow me to make money. You can, if you haven't started to put these things in play in your life, start today to put these things in play. For instance, like, oh, I have relationships with people. If I'm looking at the master's housing, I know people who have done it before, who have connections, right? I have relationships with people and people who do business in a certain area, right? I reach out to them. When it's with regard to my life insurance, I have, so 20, 30 years. I bought those policies 30 years before. They're whole life policies. I have been paying into those for 30 years and building up a cash reserve for myself that I could access when I need it, either at my death or before, that I could loan it. Like, I did it with this idea that I could loan myself. That is 30 years of consistent action, right? That I've set myself up for success. When it comes to making more offers to people, I have been in the coaching business for 15 years. I have done the hard work. I show up every day. I have tried things. I've failed at them. I've never given up on it. I continue to help people. I have helped hundreds and hundreds of people. I have developed a reputation for this. People trust me because I do good work. I have increased my capacity on the number of people that I can serve at once. I have done, um, you know, like a lot of investing of time and action. Do you hear this money tree? Oops. The money tree that I have been growing in my backyard, what it takes to grow that. And what haven't done, I haven't just been sitting around like depending upon other people, like to have a secure job. We can't do that anymore, people. You're not in control of your own destiny if that's the deal. You've got to start like figuring out how to put yourself in a position that you can create money on demand. So here's the funny thing. I had some renters. First set fell through. Oh, had another renter. No problem. Then they fell through. Third set. Okay. Another renter. Now, again, we're just trying to make money here, right? I'm working all the angles. And then this means you have to clean your house. You have to do X, Y, and Z. I'm starting to get into the crunch mode because I've got all these renovation projects that I have to do. I've got, the kids, all of these things that are going on. So I'm like, I'm going to hit the pause button here. I I have set myself up for success that I have all these plays to bring the money home to me. And one of them is going to require a lot of hours on my part. Like to truly get your home ready for someone is a huge investment of time because listen, if someone's going to spend that kind of money to come and rent my home, they're expecting a certain standard. So the fact that my college kids have been dumping their clothes and haven't cleaned out their closets uh, uh, in years, and the amount of time it takes to just refresh your house, you're talking weeks of work that people put into it. And I've been putting in those weeks of work, but now I'm getting down to the crunch time where I'm like, okay, to get this thing over the goal line now, it's going to require probably another 25 active hours of me investing in cleaning up rooms. And that's probably an underestimation. It's probably a good 40 hours of work on my part to do. And then I started thinking, I'm like, that's the equivalent of 3 new clients for me. $30,000 because I work with people one-on-one for 6 months and it's $10,000 to work with me. It is not inexpensive, but the results that you get are 10x that. And so I was like, what if I just got 3 new clients? What if I made enough offers? How many offers would I need to make to get 3 new clients in the door? Would that be 40 hours? And would I rather be spending my 40 hours of time in my business making that money? And here's the cool thing. At the end of the day, I was like, that is the way I would rather make my money than renting my house out. And so I did it. I was like, done, done, and done. And I'm making the goal that I set for myself about how much money that I was going to make in 6 weeks. Done. I've got it all. All because of this idea that what if money grew on trees and I already had the tree in my backyard? That's it. So if you never thought about this before, I want you to start. I I want you to start thinking about this today because the Chinese say the best day to plant a tree was 20 years ago, which obviously is what I have done here. The second best day to plant a tree is today, so that you will have all of the lusciousness from that tree. Plant it today so that it can provide for you in the future. It just makes me so happy to be able to do this for myself, to do this for my family. It makes me so proud of, the decision to start planting the tree that it goes back even further than 30 years, 40 years ago, like how I studied hard in school. I know I tease about being the salutatorian, but that took a lot of hard work. That took me like saying, this mattered to me. I want to learn how to do things. I want to set goals for myself. I want to be successful. I want to make this inevitable. None of this happens by chance, my friends. You have to decide to plant the tree that is going to support you for your life. And if you didn't do it 20 years ago, you can do it today. And if you need help doing it, you know where to find me, tarasimkins.com. Oh, just email me, Tara, Tara, at tarasimkins.com. Let's get to work on building your money tree. Let's plant an orchard of money trees, because once we start to feel how fun money is in our own lives, then we can start to think about the bigger things that it's fun to do money with. I mean, that's what we do at the Press On Fund, right? We're like, how can we cure childhood cancer? Like, how can we cure childhood cancer? We're going to need some money to be able to do it. And it begins to get really, really fun when you know how to create your own money. So there it is. There's today's podcast. That was really fun. Yeah, Tara at tarasimkins.com if you're ready to work now. But there are other ways you could plant your money tree. You could put your name on my email list, tarasimkins.com. Start to make sure that you're getting my emails on a regular basis. Make sure that you're watching my social media channels at Soul-u-tions Labs. Start to interact with this work. Start to take your life and your success more seriously. Start to think about the possibilities that are available to you. Start to think about the action that you need to take to do it. Start to think about how much fun it is to blow your own mind with things. And then because this is the Soul-u-tions podcast, Soulutions, I always have to think about this. It's one of my favorite scenes from Chariots of Fire where this preacher who's an itinerant preacher in Scotland, and he's also training for the Olympics, the Berlin Olympics, golly. And he's talking to his sister, and she's like, listen, you're supposed to be preaching the word of God. This whole racing thing is a distraction for you. You need to get serious. It's what God wants you to do. And he just looked at his sister and he just says, I hear you. And I don't disagree with you that that's what I'm meant to do. But there's this other thing that I do. There's this running thing that I do. And when I run, I feel God's pleasure. I think we've lost the plot line, my friends, when we have forgotten that, gosh, to the extent there is God, there's some life force, energy, love. I don't know what it looks like, but, those Genesis poems that says, God created on day one this and said, this is good. And God created this and said, this is good. And God created man and said, this is very good. God obviously was enjoyed the pleasure of his, hers, its, whatever's own creation. And that is why I do this work and why I come on here. Golly, talk about it. I mean, I pay to produce this podcast. It's like an outreach so that you will know that what is possible for you in your life if you had never heard it before from anyone else. I actually don't get paid to do this podcast. I do it so that you will hear it and you will want to do that thing in your life that you haven't been doing. And, I just believe that there's something in each of us that we're born to create. Don't get all lost in the weeds of this, right? Just plant that tree. Just plant that seed of that tree of you and let God feel the pleasure of what it feels like to create more love in this world, more kindness in this world, more hope, more possibilities, to experience that creation through you. So got off on a little tangent there. But it was worth it. It was fun. I hope you had fun listening to today. And I hope I hear from you. I really do. Tara at tarasimkins.com, or get on my mailing list at tarasimkins.com, or follow me on the socials. Pick one. Plant that tree, that money tree in your life today. Okay. Until next time, enjoy the theme song, Possibility.
'Cause I ain't done living the life I'm meant to lead. And I ain't done loving the ones who cared for me. The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family. Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibilities. The left and the right and some faith in the fight in your